This is the Reinforce Your Gym podcast with your host, Dustin Vogel. This show is about arming gym owners with the tools, strategies, and lessons they need to take their business to the next level. That way, they can make a greater impact in their community. Now, let's get to work and reinforce your gym.
All right, welcome in, guys. Another great episode of the Reinforce Your Gym podcast. This one is going to be highly tactical. I would urge you to be not driving and listen to this one when you can write down some notes or be on your phone on a note app, because we're going to have some things that you need to calculate so that you can really become the most profitable gym owner possible. So I am joined by my co-hosts and fellow gym owners, and that is Jason and Kim. And today we want to talk about essentially reframing your expectations around marketing. So all of us have almost 30 years combined of running ads, and different markets, by the way, because Kim's in New York and Jason's in Michigan and my gyms were in California. And I even, partnered into other gyms in other states. So like there's that. And then, gyms that we service them with GR, with gym reinforcements, we see hundreds of gyms in different areas. And so we have a really zoomed out perspective. And that's why we want to just pass on these things that we've collected, this knowledge, these experiences to you so that you can be armed to grow your business to the next level. For those that are on YouTube, because you could be on audio or video, one benefit of watching the YouTube, and by the way, subscribe if you don't mind, is you can see my podcast notes that we brainstormed and put together for today's episode. If not, don't worry, listen in, we'll walk you through it. But the big thing that we want to kind of start this conversation with is the words in which people refer to marketing. Gym owners, Kim, Jason, I know you've probably heard it, and that is it either worked or it didn't work. And we know that's often the verbiage of a beginner in either business or marketing. Everything works. It's just more on a scale of 1 to 10, not yes or no, right? Like if it didn't work, you probably learned something. You learned an offer was not clicking in your area, or that image did not get people's attention. And so like that's what didn't work. But if we change it, it can work. It's just, are you long-term minded enough to figure this out, or are you just going to shut down when things are not going as planned, which is literally the theme of business. Like if you're not prepared for things to not go as planned, then good luck. But our mindset is more, it's not a work, not work kind of mindset. It's more of a, how much do we optimize it, right? And can we optimize it and improve its performance so that it can get to a place where you're happy with it and you're seeing a really strong ROAS, right? Or return on ad spend. So before we get into these notes, I just want to go through these topics here one by one. But Jason, Kim, I just want you to know, we're just here to just be conversational. Like we're not really just like coming in only with a teaching topic. We're just like, hey, let's talk about what you guys experience in your gyms. Let's talk about the gym owners that we've coached and we get on calls with. And we're kind of just going to talk about this as a group. So I guess, Kim, I want to ask this to you. Why do you tend to see most gym owners are hesitant about running ads? What fears or concerns do they have in their mind?
So I think it goes back to what you just said, actually, is a lot of gym owners come to us. We have two different types of people. Those who have run ads before with multiple different companies and they're in the, oh, it didn't work mindset, but they're desperately seeking something to work. Or I talk to owners who have no experience at all with paid marketing. And the first camp, it's all about less of it, it's not figuring out what worked and didn't work. It's all about, well, what went well about those campaigns, or what's the data? We've talked about this before, a lot of business owners and humans in general, we tend to go off of how do things feel. But we need to figure out, well, what was the actual data? Why did you say it didn't work? We've heard it before. We were talking about it where people said, oh, with my previous marketer, I got a lot of bots. Well, why do you think they were bots? Let's talk about it. Why do you think, somebody had to put their name and their phone number and their email address into your marketing campaign there? Why do you think it was that? So I think a lot of it in terms of that first question, why are they hesitant? It's about past experience or no experience. But either way, the answer is the same. Let's dig further into it to figure out the details, the data, because then we can really address those fears and say, okay, well, here's how we're going to handle that going forward. Or, we can relate it to our own gyms and our own stories. Well, here's in our experience, when that issue came up, this is how we handled it. So that what I say is like the very, first steps in the base.
So Jason, I'm going to ask this to you. Who is the right gym owner to run ads? Like there's going to be gyms that is not a good thing for them, right? Is it based on number of members or amount of revenue or style of gym? Like, when do you kind of give that advice? Like, hey, you shouldn't run ads versus you should.
Yeah, it's really hard to think of a model that wouldn't benefit because it's another medium of advertising. It really is because it's a pull we have to have in the water. Like we have to have that digital marketing presence. I mean, have to is an absolute, but there again, it's one of those things that just have to be other because we have to. This day, it seems like so many people are just like focused on organic marketing, like how many views and how many likes can I get, on this workout video, things like that too. That's great. That's a presence. That's another pole in the water. But then we also have to reach people on a paid platform because your organic reach only goes so far. Because if they're not engaging with your content, the logarithms put you on the back burner. So your stuff isn't being shown to anybody new for the most part. Whereas digital marketing allows us to get our fingers, our tentacles further out in the community and further out in the radius or zip codes, whatever you want to think about around your gym, it's going to have a benefit. And we'll talk more about how to see a return on that spend. But there again, digital marketing presence it's a pole in the water. Anybody that is trying any business, especially as a fitness business, it's a necessity to have this digital marketing presence. I struggle to think of a gym that wouldn't benefit from it, even if it's to create awareness that you are operating and alive in the community. You could promote all kinds of things with paid ads. It doesn't have to be buy my thing. It could just be creating a presence, promoting a workshop. You could think of anything with Facebook ads just to have an omnipresent in your community, just to let people know that you're there for more top of mind awareness.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I also would add on there probably under 10K. It's probably not in the budget given rent. That's usually like a one man or one woman show, or they might have one other coach. They're simply not, or the budget they do have will be so small that it's almost not worth it. They could say, hey, I could do $10 a day. It's like, just don't even do ads if you can do $10 a day. Like, so I would say like that's probably where I would put the bar as far as like you need to break past that point before you start running ads. But until then, a lot of gyms do have to do it, organically until they can break that. Now I'm talking about shoestring, took on no debt, kind of like trainer opened their gym. If you went and you were well capitalized when you opened a gym, you should absolutely from day one, when you have zero reoccurring, do a massive grand opening pre-sale event with your marketing and get a ton of members in there on day one. And that can absolutely help you to have a profitable business from day one. But if you're more like, hey, I'm a trainer, I'm going to run all the sessions, I'm going to build this gym slowly and organically, you probably need to wait till you cross that 10K mark before you start dropping dough on Facebook ads, I mean, the only other thing I would say is like, this is me with wisdom looking back, is I just ran ads and I figured it out. And it was kind of that like build the plane as you're falling off the cliff. Now, if I could do it the right way, I would help somebody build infrastructure on the back end before the ads go live. And this is what we do in GR. Let's set up the automations. Let's set up the forms. Let's think of the offer. Like, let's really be like snipers and make a really smart decision rather than a shotgun of action, just taking a wide amount of work that we all will spray and pray that it's going to, work. So this is something else I would say. But the problem is if someone's not good at this or they don't know what infrastructure looks like, it's kind of like the blind leading the blind. They don't know what to do and they're just going to throw things. And that's okay because we all been there. We didn't really have that guidance. But if you do have it, like you have us, you have other mentors, if you even have another owner, that's running ads, what do you send them, right? On day one, what do you send them to keep following up with them? Like build that in it as automation so that the ads will work better and you'll get that return faster because you did the back end work before you loaded the ad. So that's just, I think, our warning section, if you will, of like, hey, common fears, hey, who's the right fit, and then what you would do before you go live with ads. The other thing I want to address, and Jason, I know this is one you run into all the time, is this myth of instant results, that it's like a slot machine. When I put $1 in, I'm going to get 1 or 5 back. And that's just straight up not true, right? Like you have to change how you think about your marketing. It is a long-term investment, not a short-term. So why don't you speak on that? How do you talk to people that think like that?
Yeah, it's kind of like a little tough love conversation because, talking with gym owners, I think one of the frustrations that we feel a lot of times, especially in this society, is with everybody's like, oh my God, everyone in the community, they're so transient. They just hop gym to gym and they're trying to find like the perfect weight loss. They only give my gym, 1 month and they're gone because they don't see results. So that's the frustration we have as personal trainers and gym owners in this industry is like, oh my God, people are so transient. But then when we start talking about the presence of digital marketing, that same business owner is going to tell me, hey, I've tried 7 different ad agencies. They tried them for a couple weeks. They tried them for a month. And so they're doing the same thing their worst clients were doing to them, because they were going from agency to agency and agency looking for quick results. Same thing a lot of people do in the gym. They come into our gyms, they want quick results, quick results. And so we sometimes as gym owners, we fall guilty of the same things we complain about with our clients, is we're not giving it time to work. All right. We talked about optimization, right? Because we haven't gave it time to work. Someone works out with you for 3 weeks, they're not going to lose 50 pounds. And it's the same thing when it comes into a effective agency or effective partner to run, ads for you, or just running ads in general. It's we haven't gave it time to work. We just don't have time to see results. We're not just going to put one workout in and lose 1 pound. It just doesn't work that way. It's the same thing when we look at putting money in Facebook ads. We just don't get a dollar in, dollar out. It is foundational. It's a long-term play. And so if we're a business owner and hopping agency to agency looking for that quick results, we tell our clients they can't lose a pound with one workout. It's the same thing when it comes to making an investment like this for marketing.
Yeah. And like people are variety driven. So like I had 2 different types of clients, in the gym and with GR. It was music to my ears when a client walked in and said, I was at this gym for 2 years, I was at this gym for 3 years, and now I'm checking you guys out. I'm like, oh, great. You're going to be here a while. You're going to give it a chance. But if they're like, I tried this program last month, and the month before that, I was doing this app, and I'm like, oh my God, I don't even really want you because I can already tell your commitment level. And so same with gym owners. If they jumped agency to agency, but they gave them plenty of time, at least a year to do their best, like, we'll happily work with you because, hey, maybe we have some unique ways of approaching things that they didn't. But we'll tell you right now, we're worried about working with you if you've had 3 or 4 in the last year agencies, because that really speaks about you. You might have a tough market. Again, I don't want to jump to conclusions, but like be prepared. If that's you, you're like, oh, that's me. I've already jumped through 3 or 4 agencies last year. We're going to probably really push you and challenge your mindset and the way that you approach things. Probably things like pricing, probably things like follow-up. Again, we can dig into those details, but there's a reason that that's happening. And a lot of times, I'll say almost all the time, it stems from the owner. The business is a mirror of the owner. Wherever it's stuck, usually is like a way of saying to the owner, this is where you're weak. You've taken it as far as you can, right? And so it's like, that can be sting you, but at the same time, it's almost like valuable because you're like, oh, now I'm super clear on what I need to do to go to the next level. And so that is that, but Kim, I want to like kind of shift gears here and go more into topic of pricing, because when people do run ads, pricing means everything, right? It's a huge decision. If someone has this idea that if I have a low price smoking offer, maybe a free week pass, $20 for 20 days, and I'm just going for volume, I never see that dream come true. Like I've never seen the gym that's like, oh my God, everything got nuts the day we turned on the 21 days for $21 ad, and the gym was slammed and it never stopped. But it logically makes sense to us that this volume will come and this herd will run through the door. Why do you think people who run low priced offers struggle with ads and ad spend?
So this was actually a conversation I just had this morning with the gym manager. The simplest is people don't value free. So the people that tend to click on the free offers, they're not always people that are very serious. They're not valuing the program, and they're not people that are serious. I see a lot of them as deal hoppers, and they're just clicking on a lot of different things. Those are going to be the people that are going to be the hardest to get a hold of. And there's a difference, because I know we've talked about doing like reopening strategies or opening strategies, or maybe holiday things for challenges, doing a giveaway portion. And that's a little bit different. So that's not what we're talking about here, not the giveaway portion of an ad strategy, but rather 1 week free, 2 week frees. It's just people don't value free. The same problem can happen with LBOs, the 21 for 21, the 7 for 7. The people that you do attract and actually get to come in, they're going to be a really hard conversion, because again, it's too far away. There's too much space between what you're running and what's bringing them in your regular membership. So, we always talk to gym owners about building an offer that's really not that far away. It's somewhere happily in the middle, not too far away from your regular offer. If I'm running a program that's $42 a week, which is what I do, I bring people in at $37 a week. When we do our special offers, maybe we'll bring it to $30 a week, but I'm not going to run an offer for $10 a week. because I'm not going to get the crowd that I'm looking for, and the conversion is going to be, super, super low. So, figure out an offer that has value. You have to value yourself, and then the people around you, your clients will value, and you'll get the clientele point that you're good for.
Yeah, it's crazy. We're the only industry that happily works for free. I just did a post on this. I don't get free massages. I don't get free pool cleanings. Like, no one else that I know in the service industry will work for free. But gym owners and coaches have this weird mindset where they just devalue themselves and their time, and they'll happily work for free. And that's just a disease we're trying to fix. It's like, your time is valuable. You've spent money on your education. You've spent money on experience. My instinct is that it's invisible and there's no like quick before and after. Because when a guy comes and mows my lawn, he could say, look, I did that. Now you need to pay me. There's no look, I did that after a workout, right? One workout doesn't change someone's body. And because it's invisible, it's hard to put a dollar amount on it. That's my take of why I think people are willing to do it. They're like, oh, it's no big deal. I just did legs with you today. Or we just gave you a good upper body workout. It's like, no, in my opinion, the sales process is the start of the coaching process. And I think when you do sell low price or free people, those will be the biggest headed clients because they are not valuing your time with their money. People who pay the most, funny enough, pay the most attention to what you tell them. They're the most nutrition compliant. They're on time. They follow the house rules. What kind of gym culture do you want to build? It starts with your price, right? So sales process is the start of the coaching process. All right. So now we're going to get geeky math. So this is where I said you guys need to have some time to write this down. So if you don't, pause this, revisit this episode, because I want to help you really calculate your LTV. But to calculate it, you got to do two numbers before. All right. And that's your average member revenue and your average member time with you, the length of their membership. So let's go into that. I'm going to break this down. And the example to figure out your LTV, it's basically you take your average member revenue times your average membership length, and that will give you your LTV. So the example I put on our sheet here on the screen is that, let's say your average value of a client's $180 a month, and they tend to stay lifetime. 20 months is the average lifetime someone stays with you and you retain them. So 180 months for 20 months would come out to $3,600 is their lifetime value, like the life of their time with you as a customer. So let's figure out what yours is at your gym. So this is the 3 steps. First step is we have to calculate your average membership length. How long do they stay with you? And all you got to do is you got to figure out your monthly attrition, and you got to divide it by the number 1. All right. So if I have 5% attrition, I'm going to take 0.05 and divide that by 1. And that's where I land at 20 months of membership length as being my average. All right. Some will stay shorter, some will stay longer, but my average client will stay almost 2 years, which is really good. And that's why we want you to have 5% or better attrition. You have more, people are leaving quicker, and now you have to keep refilling this bucket. So that's a whole nother podcast. We're not going to go into that, but this is step 1. This is how long your clients tend to stay. Now let's find out how much the average customer spends with their time that they stay. So all you got to do is you got to take your total MRR or EFT, everyone says a little different, your monthly recurring revenue, and divide that by your total members. And the reason that this needs to be done, because if you're like, hey, we just have one membership, everyone pays that, this is probably not going to be a great, eye opener. But if you have many tiers, like you have large group and small group and one-on-one, you want to kind of even them out and find out what the average is, right? And you want this average to be climbing year after year. So this also comes in if you have, like, say, founding members at a lower rate and current members at your current rate. Well, let's find what that median is. So for example, my example I put here on the screen is a gym has 25,000 EFT or MRR a month, and they have 140 members. Well, if we divide 25,000 a month by 140 members, the average client value is $180 a month. All right. So that's how you would calculate that. So those are the 2 numbers we need. What's the time that a client average stays with you, and what's the average value of your clients? And all we got to do is multiply those numbers together. That's how you get your LTV. So if I take 20 months times the average value of $180, that is where I got the $3,600 LTV, right? And so this is important. And why? Because I'm literally teaching you what is your recommended marketing budget. I don't see why you would not be willing to spend the value of one client per month on marketing because you need to get net gain 1 to break even, and you need to get net gain 2 to have a very nice return on your ad spend. Do you get all that up front? No, not unless you charge paid in full. But if you're confident in yourself, then you'll realize that total lifetime value. So to me, the reason you want to calculate this LTV is that, to me, is my recommended marketing budget to you. So if my LTV is 3,600, I'm going to say spend 3,600 a month in marketing. Now, it does not mean all of it goes into Facebook. You can have an email blast system. You can send text blasts. You can give out a referral bonus to your members. But in general, we're trying to spend that amount because we know if 1 net gain is done this month, I broke even. And if I get 2, I made money. But you're going to probably do better than that if you're putting this much into smart marketing, right? And that's what we're here to talk to you about. So most owners would probably spend, I would argue, half of this amount or a third and be frustrated that they're not growing, but they don't realize they are the reason for that happening. They are the cap on their own business because mentally they've always spent that and they expect to keep growing with the same budget. But I don't know if anyone's kind of like told you, like, look at the biggest companies, they keep raising their budget as they get bigger because they want to hit new goals, and that requires a new amount of spend. And I don't know if it's like no one's had that tough talk with the owner or no one's really broken it down for them, but I don't see a lot of gyms just keep growing and growing off of $20 a day. Like they start getting into new amounts. Now they start spending 50 and then they spend 100. And then I've seen gyms even get up to 300 a day, but they are making it no problem on sales. And this is like this weird courage, this weird like leap that a lot of owners just, I think it comes down to a confidence thing. They're not confident that they'll sell enough to make it back. So then they kind of get stuck on the same budget, right? So I guess when you're talking through that with people, Kim, like how do you talk someone up when you hear what they're going to budget for ad spend and you're like, oh my God, it's too low. I got to coach them up because they're not going to do anything with that amount. How do you kind of talk them through that?
I think the easiest thing to do is just to relate to them as a gym owner and give them my own experience. And this was something you and I spoke about. My gym is going to turn 6 in a couple of months. And, we started to notice that my leads number were coming down. And we had a conversation around it. It's like, hey, we've been open for almost 6 years now. We've kind of run through the town. So we need to increase if we want to attract more leads, and new leads, we need to increase the ad budget. And that makes complete sense. So it's the same thing when we run big challenges versus our everyday offer. When we run a bigger challenge and we want to attract more people in a shorter amount of time, we need to increase our ad budget per day. It doesn't have to stay there forever, but maybe that's when it goes to $100 a day because we're running a challenge. We want to get, 50, 100 or 200 people, depending on where you are and what the challenge is. You have to increase your ad budget. So I think just giving them the experiences of my gym and your gym and Jason's gym and all the gyms that we work with around the country and seeing what it is that they're doing. And also taking into account what kind of area they're in. Are you in a highly populated, dense area? There's a lot of competition around. You're going to need to put more daily ad spend in so that you can rise above and stand out from the other competition versus are you in where I am where there's not a lot of competition. There's a decent amount of people, but there's not a lot of competition. So, there's a lot of factors that go into daily ad budget that we want to definitely figure out and get through while we're setting somebody up.
Gym owners, I don't want you to have the reputation in town as the gym that doesn't call people back, all right? We know it's critical when someone's finally made a decision to get healthy and fit that we get to them as quickly as possible. This can be solved by plugging in our remote sales reps, okay? It's not AI, it's not a bot, it's a real human that's working on your leads, the new ones that come in from your ads and the old leads in your database. And they're there to qualify the leads, to ask them discovery questions and to make sure they're a good fit. And then their job is to move them forward in your sales process so that you get more members month over month. All right. If you want to learn about our remote sales reps, go ahead and go to gymreinforcements.com, book a call, and we'll tell you more about it. See you then. And it's not apples to apples, but like the Super Bowl just happened recently and a commercial spot for 30 seconds was $8 million. And so like that was even their whole annual budget. That's just what they dropped for a day. These are big companies. I get it. It's Nike, it's Doritos, it's Apple, like they're all spending big money because they have big money. But like then people are like, well, that's not me. And I say, well, to get there, you have to be prepared to keep spending. And again, I also change it for the word risking because that's really all it is. No one's going to give you a guarantee you will make all this money back, but we can follow the breadcrumbs of success. And so it shows us that if you have a strong offer, if you price accordingly, you don't price low, and you have very aggressive, follow up with people, then you can like that. That's what the data tells us, right? We're not guessing, but it's usually the opposite. We find people are not following up with their leads. They have a really crappy offer. When I say crappy, it's usually free or low price. And, again, they're not price optimized for their type of service. So that is a homework assignment. I'd ask everyone listening to this, please go back, go through those numbers step by step and calculate your LTV. And if you want the visual, go on YouTube, but that will give you what we recommend you spend on marketing. All right. Now we're going to go into just ROI weaknesses. I kind of alluded to them earlier, but Jason, how about for you when you got someone running ads and they're like, it's not working? I guess, how do you go in and kind of surgically catch what is the actual problem? And I try to help identify it and give them solutions around that so they can have better performing ads.
Yeah, it goes right back to the thing we mentioned up top, right? It's got to be data over emotional define hits. What is the hits process? So, that's like, oh, the leads came in, I called, and nobody answered. Okay, what happened next? So it was almost like that was the breaking point. They called, no one answered. Well, it's 2025. I don't know about you, but strange numbers on my phone usually don't get answered, right? So it's just like this one and done, or maybe even two and done mentality. It's just got to go beyond that. And so I think one of the awesome things I love that we do here at Gym Reinforcements is that sales process audit. It's like you mentioned, you jump off the building here, mountain, right? And then you build the plane. We just can't have that. We have to have the process in place, because turn the ads on, leads coming in, you never want that like, oh shit factor of like, okay, leads are coming in. Now what do I do with them? Like, we don't want to build that process as leads are coming in. We want to have that process in place. So everything that we have on the screen right here we talk about is making sure like we have that follow-up system in place. This doesn't have to be mind-blowing, but it's just really a system of, if you can just tackle 5 days of just touching each lead twice. It could be email, text message, phone call, a combination of both. A little bit of rapport building, a little bit of urgency, a little bit of introducing yourself, just a little mixture of touch points over that first 5 days when that lead really is the hottest. Because we talked about transient clients already, is making sure you have a process in place to, number one, notify that person that you got their information, introduce yourself clearly so they know who you are, and just start asking some open-ended questions, not just, hey, buy my thing, buy my thing. I always joke about the sales bat. Like, put your sales bat away and just start talking to the lead. I mean, that's the biggest thing, is have that system in place. It does, like I said, doesn't have to be earth-shattering or mind-blowing. We're not reinventing the wheel here, but think of yourself as a consumer. If you opt into something and it takes 3 to 4 days to get a reply from that company, you're moved on, right? I mean, I use my analogy of purchasing a truck last fall, huge, huge investment. One guy stood out, is literally 8 o'clock at night. I'm like, I'll fill this lead form, beautiful truck I was thinking about. There's no way I could afford it, but I'm like, I'll see if this guy calls. And like 12 minutes later, I think it was 8:12 at night, start getting a text back. I'm like, it's got to be AI. And about 3 texts later, I'm like, this is a real guy texting me, but he's going above and beyond, doing lead follow up at 8:12 at night to the truck. Lo and behold, it's the guy I went with. And I think going back to that process was, yeah, there was a couple of trucks that probably could have saved a couple of dollars on, but one thing stood apart was the service and the follow up he had. Being a student of it, I was impressed. And so I'm signing for the truck, and he's like, are you ready for the truck? And I basically told him, I said, hey, man, I'm buying this truck really because of the awesome service you had with follow up, answering questions. He was texting me quotes, So put yourself in the consumer position. And how do you like to be treated when you want to learn more about a business? And then put that into your own follow-up process.
Very well said. So yeah, I think that's all good points. To get the best ROI is to do those things on the back end. And then the way that I would recommend someone learn from like failed ads. So like, we ran this, it didn't work. We run that, it didn't work. Well, do you ever do like a recap, right? Like that's how you're gonna pull the learning lesson. Otherwise, you're just doomed to keep repeating that. And I would just say in that recap, what worked and what didn't work is an easy way to look at it. You want to also break up your ads by like creatives, meaning like what image, maybe one image got a lot of clicks, but then they never fill out the form. So you can then say, okay, image worked, but like they're not filling out the form. So we got to put more words on the form that get them to fill it out. Or a lot of people fill out the form, but then they didn't reply to us. I look at it as like it's a hose. And so that's where the kink is in the hose. So the water's flowing and then it gets clogged up there. All right, why are they not replying? Well, let me troubleshoot my questions. Maybe my questions suck and I'm not being authentic enough. Maybe I'm not digging into their goals. I'm going right for the pitch. These are things that you can look at. That's where the learning is like, where did the traffic flow to and then stop? And every single stage, you can find something to do to fix it there. So, Kim, I want to let you kind of tackle this. Like, what is best? Some quick best practices tips. I just did a presentation internally to our customers about the 12 best practices of lead nurture. But if you can even give like say 3 or 4 to people on the podcast, what are some things they can do to improve responses from leads? Let's say they're getting lots of leads, but no one's replying.
So I think the first important thing to remember is who are our leads, right? They're human beings. And this is a phrase that I say a lot is most leads that are coming to our types of gyms, they're coming off the couch. If they were so inclined to sign up right away and they were so motivated and disciplined, they would be banging on our doors saying, "Can I sign up?" But they're not. They're sitting on their couch late at night or, doing their normal routine and they're clicking on an ad to learn more. Again, if they were ready to sign up in that moment, they would go to our website, they come to the gym the next day. So I think number one, it's important to keep that in mind because that means someone who's coming from the couch, they're on the couch for a reason. They have to overcome their own objections and all the things in their head that are keeping them there. So just like Jason said, I called everybody once. That's not going to do it. They're not ready yet. They're not motivated enough. Maybe they're a little fearful. There's a lot of reasons why they're still on that couch. So that's why 1, 2, 3, 4, those follow ups might not be enough. It's consistent follow up and also getting them to realize we're not bots, we're not AIs, we're real humans. And I'm going to take that phrase, Jason, the sales bat, because man, that describes it so perfectly. If your very first message comes out of the gate saying, "Hey, we see you're interested, buy my thing," well, they would have done that already. So take it back a notch and make them realize you're a real human and really dig into why you're wanting them to reach out to you in the first place. So one of the first messages, "Hey, Karen, I see you're interested in our 6-week reset program. We help our clients burn body fat, tone up and have more energy. What's your number one in health and fitness goal?" Tell them what it is that you do, ask them what their goal is, and just have a conversation with them first. Maybe they say, "Yeah, I'm trying to lose 20 pounds. That's a really great goal. How long have you been thinking about that? Or what have you been trying to lose those 20 pounds? Or do you find that your struggle is more with workouts or nutrition?" Just become a human and talk to them back and forth once you get, somebody rolling. Now, if you do send out that first message and they don't reply, think of, like I said, some of those other questions that you can ask them. Something will resonate. And don't get frustrated when it's 2 weeks later and not every single person has replied, because that's completely normal as well. I literally have people walk into my gym and say, "All right, it's been 12 months or 6 months or 8 months or more than 12 months. And Alex has been sending me messages. Alex is my program coordinator. You got me. I'm here," because something that he said finally resonated with them. So, be patient and try a couple of different things. It's good to, ask discovery questions. It's good to send testimonials. It's good to tell your own story. All of us are in this industry for a reason. We all have our own health and fitness journeys. Tell your leads your story. Something will resonate with them. If you adopt the never stop following up with someone until they either opt out or walk through your door and buy something, then you're going to have a lot more success with than somebody who just calls leads once or twice and throws their hands up in the air and says, "They don't work. They're a bunch of bots." You got to really pull people off the couch and they have to get over their own objections.
Yeah, no, that's great. And so all those examples you gave, you're basically coming at them from a different angle. It could be, I'm trying to discover more about your goals to see if we're even a good fit. Cause like people, they don't understand fitness coaching. They just think gyms are gyms. So someone would walk in, they're like, "I'm training for a marathon. Can you help me, improve my time?" And I at first said yes, but over time I'm like, "No, I'm not a marathon coach. Go see this person." And I learned the other coaches around town that were specialists, or someone's trying to, get ready for a powerlifting meet. I'm going to be a terrible coach, or they want to be in the CrossFit games. I'm not your coach. Like I always stood by, I'm the body transformation coach. Like you want to lose fat and feel better, call me. And so there's a power in owning your special sauce, but also that's part of qualifying. You don't know what these people reached out to you for, and you might not be the good fit. There's people that need it one-on-one personal training. They're not going to do well in a group program, and I had to refer them out. So like that's why we're cautioning you, don't immediately assume they want what you have to buy. First, you need to make sure, are they looking to get the problem solved that I solve? If not, I need to refer them out, right? And then, yeah, stories like your story, client stories, those tend to trigger people emotionally versus buy my program, buy my offer. So trying to think about how do I mix more emotion into my follow up tends to get a higher response rate too. So those are all good tips. Couple more I'll throw in there is try different channels of communication. Don't just text, throw some emails, throw some phone calls, make some personalized videos on Loom. And I do think you can automate the text at least to go out on your behalf, but you planning some time in your day where you make outbound calls, call it twice a day. Like you're going to do it late morning after you coach and again in the evening. You're just going to dial these numbers. And yeah, you might dial these numbers 6 times and then finally get a pickup, but you don't know what's going on in that person's day at that moment. Their hands are busy because they're driving or they're at work or they're in the middle of making dinner. Like people tend to make up a story of why they're not picking up. Oh, I must be bothered. Or maybe they changed their mind. Maybe they found a gym. And you're being your own worst enemy coming up with all these stories. And how about they're just busy? That's it. Like stop making up stories. They're just busy. Try them again. They're busy. Try them again. That's it. That's the only story that exists, right? Like stop making up other things. That's what I find is the most common mistake is I can tell a gym owner is their own enemy when they made a story up that no one said except for themselves. And they're like, well, I tried them 3 times. I didn't want to bug them. Did anybody say you're bugging them? Nope. Okay. You're making up a story. Let's stop doing that. Yeah. So those again, I look as more like beginner mistakes. Like that's like, hey, I'm not knocking no one because I was there too. I said those same stories till I went through 15 years of owning gyms and I learned what's on the other side of all that experience, right? So recapping, it's not worked or didn't work. It's I need to optimize it. There's some place in the funnel that needs to be optimized, which is a fancy term of saying make it work better, right? I need to improve how many people reply to me. I need to improve how many people show up to my appointments. I need to improve how many people get their wallet out and buy from me. Those are all optimizations. That's what we need to do with marketing is optimize each step, turn that dial up. And even when it's flowing start to finish, we go back to the beginning and now we try to get a 5% improvement all the way through the process. Then we go back to the beginning and that's literally what it is, right? You get the water to flow from the end of the hose to the other side and then let's go make the hose bigger so more water can flow through it and let's get a bigger hose. And that's the optimization process. So that is what we would coach you guys to think of when it comes to marketing. And then using data, right? Like if you catch yourself using feeling-based statements, again, you are being your own worst enemy. I feel like it's not working. I feel like people are burnt out on this offer. Until I see someone message you say, I'm burnt out on this ad, stop running this offer. I feel like that's a phony thing for you to use as an excuse, right? I feel like people are burnt out. I feel like my market is not interested in this. We will not accept that. We want data. Show me the message. Show me the screenshot. Someone says, I'm burnt out on you running this offer. Can you run what they do? No one's ever said that. So it's BS. Again, it's us making up phony stories. It's us being our own worst enemy. Measure data because data will unlock what you need to do. That's the ultimate wake up call. You go to your bank account and it's zero. What do? You hopefully, if you're a driven person, you're like, I got to make some money today. I'm going to go out. I'll freaking Uber drive. I'll do something because that data hurt me and I don't like it. And so when you have your data, it usually makes you leap into action. So that's another reason for having it. It's a good kind of like a dashboard. You need to see what's going on in your business. You need to see what is like blinking light that needs your attention, right? And then just key metrics. Like again, don't overwhelm yourself. I'll give you guys basics to just track week by week. And the way I like to hold myself accountable, because like business owners just tend to not be good with numbers or wanting to track. It's the boring work to them. So make yourself accountable by just having a weekly meeting where you have to read your numbers to your team. And then you'll suddenly show up and you'll have your numbers locked and loaded every week, right? And just tell them, hey guys, I'm not good with numbers. Hold me accountable. I show up and my numbers are not entered. Call me out because that's not okay. We need to know our numbers, right? So how many leads did we get? How many trials, if that's your model, how many trials and new memberships did we sell? Or if you do appointment based, it'd be how much was our set show close last week? And then finally, what was our retention? That's it. That's like the basic numbers that I would tell you to start with and just show up every single week and have those numbers, right? And then you can start to see where's the clog in the process and then you can fix it, right? Jason, as we wrap up, any words of wisdom for helping reshape the marketing mindset of a gym owner?
Yeah, right when you typed at the very end there, it was really the biggest thing is there's little dials in between all those things. Like so we can have leads that come in, but then there's a percentage of how many of those leads actually engage in conversation. So that's a number. Then there's going to be a number from how many of those leads actually purchase a trial. That's a percentage. That's a number. And how many of those leads actually convert to a full-time membership? That's a number. That's all data. And so if we see that these two are high and then this one tanks, the problem might be our trial to membership conversion. We might be doing good maybe on lead to trial, but maybe there's something happen where we're at maybe 60%, 75%, but then we're only maybe 45% trial to membership. And so that is the tell is if we have 3 or 4 numbers to look at, then we have real data. So then if we like, oh my God, we spent all this money on Facebook ads, but it only got me 40 members. The problem wasn't getting into the trial. The problem was we had a problem getting from the trial to the membership. So that would be the tell. So the issue wasn't the lead gen and Facebook marketing or whatever medium you're using. It was that number down here that was only 40%. So why was it that only 4 out of 10 would get to a membership? So then it allows us to concentrate on that area. We know we have lead gen shored up. So this way we're not speaking with emotions of like, I paid all this money to Facebook and I only got this many memberships. But you have 3 numbers or maybe 4 numbers we can look at, fix that, focus on that, and trust the process of marketing is working.
Okay. Kim, how about for you? Any parting marketing advice?
I'm gonna piggyback on Jason because I love how he just wrapped up and what he said is like, what do you do with those numbers now? You go back and you look at your systems and your foundations and all of your processes within each of those steps because that might be where the breakdown is. I've spoken to owners who, all their numbers are good, kind of like the example Jason just used, but then their trial to membership, people are not converting. And it's like, well, why aren't people converting? What's your trial process? What happens in those first 21, 28 days, 6 weeks that you're running a trial with someone? So if that's the number you're having a problem with, then that's the system that you have to look at. If you're having a problem with the leads coming in, but you're not setting the appointments, then that's the process that you have to look at. But a lot of problems come back to lack of systems and processes. So, definitely having the data and being able to find the patterns and then directly correlating it to a system or a process, and that's where you're going to plug those leaks in.
Love it. All right, guys. Well, if you enjoyed this episode, you want to get my podcast notes, just comment on here, on this YouTube video, the word notes, and I'll send them to you so you can, use the formulas on there. But as we wrap up, I just want to encourage you, calculate your LTV with what we talked about earlier in the episode, create your marketing budget, make sure your pricing is in a way that you can have a positive ROAS every single month, return on ad spend. You're not doing a low price offer. And then finally, be more open-minded to how to troubleshoot your marketing. Think of the word optimize, not worked or didn't work. That's like what we're hoping you pull away from this. So hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, subscribe, let us know, tag us on social media, and we'll see you guys next week. Later. Hey, gym owners, let's face it, you probably don't love digital marketing. You probably don't want to go into Facebook and load the ad up and think of ad copy and creatives and optimize it daily. Well, hand that over to me and my team because we're geeks about marketing and we want to flood your gym with new members so you can change their life. Let us do what we do best. All right, go to gymreinforcements.com, book a call. Don't bring the credit card. It's not a hard pitch. It's just a conversation to see if we're a good fit. Talk soon.